Hello, everybody. I am Bryan Mullins the Fox, and welcome to episode 2 of the Bryan Mullins the Fox Show. Today, we're going to be talking about the great roast game Muppets Satanic Panic Culture Shock of 1998. But before I read two articles, both according to the New York Times and the Washington Post, respectively, let's talk about it after premiered I premiered that video on my Rant Archive channel talking about it. To clear my throat a bit, but here we go. So in that video, I talked about the very reason and culture shock, why and how the roast game happened at all, starting on November 17th, 1998, the day after the Jim Henson Company and Hallmark Entertainment bought 45% of a religious network that doesn't exist anymore. Well, given that the parents of the 80s and 90s, especially 1998, still believed in the Satanic Panic, still believe that shit like the Muppets, Pokemon, anything they don't like is satanic or can turn their kids satanic and other things like that. So obviously this didn't go over well because not every parent is going to agree with what companies like these do or any other financial decision that has to do with interrupting their way of watching television on a regular basis in their very religious home. A very extremely my tongue. A very extremely religious household. Which is kind of strange, but kind of weird why you would murder your own children, cut off their asses, all because the Muppets terrify you so much that when your kids liked it, they started questioning beliefs like Christmas, questioned their own existence, religion. To some, they became ungrateful, apparently, according to them, but I don't think they're being ungrateful. They're intelligent human beings just as much as we are stupid because they haven't fully developed yet. Well, now let's read two articles, shall we? The first one being A Merger of Muppets and Religion by Laurie Mifflin from the New York Times, published on November 17th, 1998. And here we go. Can Kermit the Frog, Merlin the Wizard, and Trapper John M.D. coexist on the same cable channel? Check by Jowl with ethicists and professors of religion? The Jim Henson Company and Hallmark Entertainment already partners in television ventures took over 45% ownership of the Odyssey channel yesterday, which was November 16th, 1998, not literally yesterday. Henson and Hallmark shows will be added to Odyssey's lineup of faith and values programs. Margaret Leish, former chief of the Fox Kids network, who became president of the Henson Television Group in February, was named president and chief executive of the new Odyssey channel. She said it would be a family network, but geared to adults rather than children. Odyssey, with almost 30 million subscribers, is also owned by the Liberty Media Corporation and the National Interfaith Cable Coalition, a consortium of 70 different religious denominations and faith groups that founded the channel in 1988, 10 years prior. The Henson Hallmark partners had been seeking a cable channel, and Odyssey's appeal lies in its 30 million subscribers and low-profile name. Since not a whole lot of people know about the channel, we can broaden awareness and make it mean more to a broader group of people, Miss Leish said. With these two bulletproof brand names, Henson and Hallmark, to brand the channel, you don't have to explain a lot. It will have 4,000 hours of programs from the Hallmark and Henson libraries, including Hallmark's television specials like Merlin, Gulliver's Travels, and appropriately enough, The Odyssey. It will also continue to carry religious and spiritual programs, including its documentary series, Landmarks of Faith. The new partners agreed to keep a minimum of 40 hours of faith and values programming a week. Our religious programming doesn't represent narrow doctrine or dogma, said Wilfred v. Wilfred V. Bain, chairman of the Religious Coalition's management group. It is not designed to proselytize or attract people to a specific point of view, but help see their sense of values and religion and spiritual beliefs are part of their daily life. And I'm giving it out to you, the people. No wonder why your last name's Bain. I'm just joking. Let's continue. Its new look is to be ready next spring or spring of 1999. Henson and Hallmark are investing $100 million in the channel. And the channel itself expects to invest $200 million over the next 3 to 5 years in new programs. Well, that's all for the New York Times article. And here's another article, but according to the Washington Post this time, published by Lisa de Moriez. I'm probably pronouncing her name wrong, but that doesn't matter. Correct me later on. It's called Muppet Move. Henson Hallmark take over cable network. Which is why I haven't read articles like this on a live stream in years. The Jim Henson Company and Hallmark Entertainment, two of the best productive pedigrees in television, are starting their own cable network. The companies plan to announce today that they have become substantial investors in the religious cable network Odyssey, which will be remade into their likeness. With broad-based, high-end programming, according to industry sources, the new network gets off to a strong start. Odyssey has 30 million subscribers. Henson and Hallmark will jointly own 45% of the cable network, which is now owned by the National Interfaith Cable Coalition and TCI's Liberty Media Corporation. NICC, a coalition of 60 religious denominations, and Liberty are reducing their stakes to 22.5% and 32.5% respectively. This is not the first teaming for Henson and Hallmark. They've partnered in such Tony fare as NBC's high-rated miniseries remake of Jonathan Swift's Gulliver's Travels. They also launched the Kermit Channel, a cable network seen in Asia that lasted for a few years until the early 2000s. Wonder why that didn't work. Even though they loved the Muppets in Asia, somehow, back then. The company heads Hallmark Entertainment President and Chief Executive Officer Robert Helmy Jr. and Jim Henson Company President and Chief Operations Officer Charles Rivkin, and President and CEO Bryan Henson, son of late Jim Henson, have said for some time that they were interested in starting a U.S. cable channel. Okay then. Programming for the new network is expected to be overseen by Margaret Leish. The highly respected Leish most recently worked with Rupert Murdoch, taking his Fox network from non-existent to #1 in kids programming in a very short time. Before that, she was president and CEO of Marvel Productions Limited, where she worked with Henson on such shows as Jim Henson's Muppet Babies and Jim Henson's Fraggle Rock. Leish bowed out at Fox at the end of last year when Murdoch decided to give the top children's programming seat to Haim Saban, an independent producer with an extensive international animation library that Murdoch coveted. Leish's hiring by Rivkin and Bryan Henson last spring sparked speculation that she was being bought on to run a cable venture. Derek McGinty is back. He's doing double duty for ABC affiliate WJLA, and anchoring its weekend Good Morning Washington show and reporting 3 days a week for Channel 7's evening newscasts. But primarily, WJLA news director Jim LeMay is developing a Sam and Cokie-ish Sunday issue program for McGinty and evening anchor Kathleen Matthews, which should be ready late next month or early in January. He's established here and through PBS, so people respect him. And he knows where all the bodies are buried when it comes to political reporting, LeMay said. McGinty is a broadcast fixture in town on radio's WAMU. His daily talk show, The Derek McGinty Show, was syndicated on 33 national public radio stations, while his weekly discussion, DC Politics Hour, evolved into a Friday must listen in DC political circles. He also headlined quarterly Straight Talk TV specials on PBS stations WETA. McGinty gave up his radio gigs at the end of January to become a full-time correspondent on CBS's ill-fated news magazine Public Eye, which was hosted by Bryant Gumbel. That show had its last broadcast in early September. So long, Secret Lives of Men. ABC isn't going to order more episodes of the low-rated comedy series, which already had been taken off the lineup for the November sweeps race. One of several times a year when the network's ratings are scrutinized to set stations' advertising rates. ABC had ordered and shot 13 episodes of the sitcom, and 7 had been broadcast. No word yet as to when the remaining 6 will be burned off in its final broadcast on Wednesday. Secret Lives of Men averaged 11.1 million viewers, which is not bad, but its lead-in, the Drew Carey Show, averaged 16 million viewers that night. And that 69% retention rate spells cancellation in the broadcast TV business. CBS has preempted some of its less watched programming in its very close race with NBC for first place in the November sweeps. The iNetwork is pulling Wednesday's To Have and To Have Hold and Friday's Buddy Farrow this week. To Have will be replaced by a 48 Hours edition. Farrow gets dumped for a blooper special hosted by King of Queens star Kevin James. Through Thursday, which is NBC's strongest night of the week by far, that network was only 700,000 viewers ahead of CBS for the sweeps. And CBS typically performs well on Saturday and Sunday, so the Derby should be even tighter when numbers are tallied for this past weekend. The broadcast networks typically yank low-rated series off their schedules right before sweeps periods. NBC, for instance, pulled its drama series Trinity and the comedy Encore. Former CBS News president Eric Ober, running the Food Network, ? Scripps Networks, which oversees the cable service as well as HGTV, announced Ober's appointment late last week as part of the company. A part of the company-wide management restructuring. He's replacing Erica I can't speak sometimes. Erica Gruen, who in her 3.5 years in the role put Fox Network on the map with such shows as Two Fat Ladies. But Gruen says she's not surprised by the move, which puts one of Scripps' own in the top spot. Scripps bought the Food Network last year. Ober has spent the past 2 years as president and CEO of Cinetel, a Scripps-owned production company that produced documentary programming. Ober says he intends to include specials and live event coverage in Fox Network's roster of programs. From 1990 to 1996, he was president of CBS News. Ober took the blame for the botched evening news experiment that paired Dan Rather with Connie Chung. He also got a lot of heat for Chung's eye-to-eye interview, in which she got Newt Gingrich's mom to confide that she thought the First Lady was a bitch. by telling her it would be just between you and me. But before helming CBS News, Oprah spent several years running the CBS-owned television station. And there's the caption, which I'm not going to read because there is no image that I can see. So, overall, in conclusion, I've talked about what the fuck really caused the roast game to have happened at all, and I read the 2 articles, but now, and I dare say now, I'm going to have to conclude my fucking commentary part and go into the rant part before I end this episode of the Bryan Mullins The Fox Show. Sorry I've been stuttering for a bit. It's just that I haven't read articles like this so directly in such a long ass time. So, let's get to a short rant. Really? You believed that Muppets were teaching your kids to do the unholy nasty when they were doing it because the kids would be entertained. And you took that the wrong way, so hard that you killed almost 20 million children in America and almost 100 million in Canada alone, almost 90 million rather, alone in Canada. Because it did reach all that outrage. It got all the outrage it didn't expect to get. And that's why it's so fucked up. It's all in conjunction with every other trend that would literally have proven that the roast game would have happened no matter what. But this is the real cause, the real reason why this fucking occurred, and it's the thing that gets me with these parents back then, with the satanic panic shit. Nothing that you don't like, anything that you don't like is not satanic. It's just for kids. And I know the Odyssey Network wasn't just entirely for kids, it's for mainly adults and not kids. But that somehow fucked up your vision of how children should be raised in future generations by future generations for future generations alone. But with all that being said, I recap this episode and then I'm gonna sign out because it's a long ass stream, I know. I've talked about why the roast game happened at all because it's culture shock. I've read the 2 articles according to the New York Times and the Washington Post respectively, gave my opinion on it, shortly recapped that, went off on a rant, and now I must sign out. Thank you all for watching this long-ass episode of the Bryan Mullins The Fox Show. Tune in next time for the episode. It'll be about something else. And the first one of December. I am Bryan Mullins The Fox, signing out. Goodbye. There we go. Yeah.